I mean, I think Bitcoin's going to hit a numerically interesting number. Now, obviously, I put $1 million Bitcoin out there. I hope it hits $1 million, but maybe it's like 600,000 or 500,000 or 250,000 or some round number that in the human mind is significant for some arbitrary reason.
Yeah,
we're going to hit that level, and then we're going to expect insane things out of the pace of fiat money creation. And
we're going to dive deep into some additional insights from Arthur Hayes on kind of when that selling top of the market will be, what the indicators are that he's looking at for that, and how you should be approaching this cycle. So stay tuned.
Bitcoin is booming. Are you cashing in or missing out? At Drip2 BTC, we're rewriting the rules of Bitcoin investing. Earn up to 30% ROI on your deposits, unlock incredible Bitcoin discounts, and transform credit into up to 3,000% APR growth. No hassle, just real results. Don't wait, your future is one deposit away. Drip2BTC.com. Invest smart today.
Hey guys, welcome back. Drip Coach here with Drip and Farm for Poverty, where we don't trust, we verify, and operate with integrity and transparency. Bringing Arthur Hayes back on the channel from Savvy Finance. He is or was the BitMEX CEO, and he just recently got a presidential pardon due to violating the Bank Secrecy Act, and he was sentenced to 2 years of probation. This is basically him, CZ, and a bunch of others, anybody that was innovating on crypto a couple years back when we didn't have any legislation or regulation. They pretty much just tried to silence this entire industry, and a lot of people were just on the short end of the stick. But Arthur Hayes is a pioneer and been ahead of the game for quite some time. So it's going to pay to listen to what he has to say in here and see what we can learn about specifically kind of this cycle that we're in right now. And he mentioned that big round number, psychological number that will be a sell-off. If you were familiar or following crypto Twitter a good 2 weeks ago, probably by this video, you may have heard about Josh Mandel, who was a Wall Street trader, or I can't remember exactly where did he work. His previous job, something to do with traditional finance. But anyway, yeah, Wall Street trader. But he made a crypto prediction or post about Bitcoin hitting specifically 84K on the previous dip. He actually nailed that like to the dollar almost. And then he's also mentioned that we will see 444K coming up later this year. So this was something he put out on Twitter, made a post about it, and it came true. So people were like, oh my God, Josh knows something. He's a time traveler, whatever, blah, 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 blah. I'm sure for every 1 out of 1,000 or 1,000,000 people that get it right, there's probably hundreds of thousands that get it wrong out of 1,000,000. But either way, the reason I bring that up is because of his 444K prediction that tied into what Arthur Hayes said, that we'll have some significant number, 250, 666 if you're into spirituality and market the beast. Who knows what that number will be, but for sure there will be some kind of psychological top, and that will be the signal to sell a little bit, or at least stop dollar cost averaging, because the market is going to take a downturn. Now, how long? We don't know, but he's going to dive into some more insights on what this cycle is going to potentially look like.
So I think that the 4-year Bitcoin halving cycle and sort of the minor profitability and how that swings over time made a lot more sense in terms of a market cycle when Bitcoin was a much smaller asset class, and I guess in crypto in general, because where Bitcoin goes, everything else follows. But now that Bitcoin and crypto are a bona fide asset class, they're talked about in every major financial network in the world. Every central bank has an opinion on it, whether it's good or whether it's bad. You have the leader of the empire of the US talking about Bitcoin and policies, and everybody's responding with that sort of stuff. So now I think Bitcoin has transitioned from this sort of technological digital bear asset into the best smoke alarm for fiat liquidity that we have globally. Previously, that role was held by gold. Yeah. Gold and Bitcoin have some different properties that make them react a little bit differently to things. And now I think we have a 24/7 market. Anyone with an internet connection can access it. And it's really just driven on fiat liquidity. So as I've broken it down in my essays before,
Up until now, text-to-speech voices.
I break down Bitcoin's price value as, on one hand, it's technology, on the other hand, it's fiat liquidity. And
I co-sign that. Obviously, he's got way more skin in the game, familiarity, and all that stuff. But this again ties back to Raoul Pal, ties back to Jack Mahler. So everyone is echoing the same thing. And maybe I'm just in an echo chamber finding out these people to co-sign my belief systems. But it just makes sense. And When you're talking about global liquidity, they have an indicator on TradingView, global liquidity index. And you can see this big spike that we had for COVID, and then we started trending downward. That represented bear market, and now we are starting to tick back up. And as more and more players enter the game, Bitcoin just matures to a much stronger asset class. Like sitting right now at, what is the total market cap? 2.7 trillion, and 1.6 of that belongs to Bitcoin. Well, if again you believe what Michael Saylor says and Raoul Pal, then Raoul Pal says the entire industry is going to 100 trillion, and then Michael Saylor says that Bitcoin is going to the market cap of gold, which is 20 trillion. So at that stage, it just becomes much harder to manipulate the price, and there's going to be less volatile swings. So I can't really say by definition a super cycle, an extended cycle. I still think because it's tied to global liquidity, which is tied to the US global reserve for now, which is tied to the US election cycle, it still sees that 4-year debt rolling kind of thing. Could that change in the future? Yes, for sure. So as the US maybe loses additional impact on its global reserve status and Bitcoin becomes a catalyst for that, then that cycle itself could change as well in regards to it being tied directly to how they're financing and rolling debts, which is tied to what the Fed is doing based off of the administration. So there's a bunch of variables that can go into play, but the TLDR for me is that over an extended timeline, Bitcoin only goes up, and the volatility should start to flatten out. I think this is also a Michael Saylor thing. It goes from like 60-80 vol down to 30-40 vol based off of what is happening in the TradFi, S&P, and stock markets. So it should, because it'll be having a more mature phase of itself, as well as against the maturity within the total amount of liquidity, it just gets less volatile due to that. So it's easier to manipulate the price when it's only $100 billion asset, much harder when it's 10 trillion. And that's where we're headed. So I'm on the same page with Arthur, and do believe we're moving in the right direction, and do believe that we will see some kind of psychological big number top in this cycle. Now we smashed right through 100k initially. Let's see, 95. Yeah, we smashed right through that, went up to 102, then went back down, and then 107. So I don't think 100 is that level. It's definitely got to be something much higher than that for people to be like, all right, this is euphoric, this is it. So maybe it's 250, 400, 444, as Josh Mandel said. I have no idea, but I'm betting on it being much higher than 150 or so. Not much higher, but at least I'm putting it around the 250 range. That's what I'm thinking. Let me know what you guys think for this cycle. Where are you at? Or were you familiar with Josh's prediction? Or are you on the complete opposite side of the camp and you think that we've already topped out and this is it? All right, that's all I got for this video. Smash that HBO special, help brother out, like, subscribe, comment down below, and until next time, lift daily and achieve your impossible. See ya.
Want to pay your in real life bills with crypto? How about send crypto directly to anyone with a bank account? Spritz Finance is a decentralized solution to be your own bank and connect your crypto earnings to real world bills and payments. They do not take custody of your assets and allow support on multiple blockchains and Web3 wallets. Sign up below using my referral link and you will get $50 back when you make your first $50 bill payment with crypto. Additionally, I will be using referral bonuses to airdrop, donate, or burn based on community feedback. Sign up now.